What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have an Ambien trip report for you. The title of this trip report is I Felt Like Moses, and was submitted to Earwood in 2007 by the user Curiosity. With all that being said, let our story begin. I was having bouts of severe insomnia, and there was even a period when I went 3 days with no sleep at all. My mom decided that I needed to see a doctor. Luckily, since I am 18, and the doctors felt it appropriate, I was given a 30-day prescription of Ambien 10 milligrams. At first, every time that I took the stuff, I went right to bed as described, and never thought of tripping because the doctor described it as a mild sleeping aid, and I am fairly experienced with drugs of various classes. It turned out that after 6 days, I was able to fall back into natural sleep, so I had 24 of these pills left over. My girlfriend calls, and she said that she had been having trouble falling asleep. I told her I had this pill that would put her right out. I give her one, and I recommend that she split it in half, because I found it potent and didn't want anything to happen to her, and for me to be responsible. The next day I see her, and she has this smile on her face, and she says Ambien is the coolest drug that she had ever tripped on. I asked her what had happened, and she said she took just the one half. She felt very relaxed, and she would just lay there and zone out. She said it was really tight, and she chiefs pretty much every other day, and she said that Ambien was her new favorite drug. My immediate thought was to trip on that stuff that very night, and to this day I wish I had her with me, but I'll get to that later. It really was the perfect night to take the stuff. It was Friday. I didn't have to go into work the next day, and my parents were at a friend's relative's funeral, and they would be gone until Tuesday. So I had the whole house to myself and was really looking forward to the trip I was getting ready to take. I started to get myself prepared. I was thinking back to what she had told me. Music is tight, so I go and get Jimmy Plays Berkeley. It's hard to move, so I go and get my cigarettes and some soda and set them on the table in front of my couch and take a piss. It was 10 o'clock. I was all prepared, had my cigarettes, the controller, something to drink, and the sounds of Hendrix playing Pass It On. I go to my kitchen. Above the sink sits the Ambien. I open it and take 2, thinking that I was used to the 10 milligrams. I go back to the couch and light up a cigarette. I'm sitting there for about 10 minutes and beginning to get impatient, because when I would take it to go to sleep, it took about 5 minutes for me to feel the effects. I figure that it was the cigarette that may have delayed it, because nicotine elevates the heart rate. So I put the next cigarette I'm about to light up on the table. About 10 minutes later, my eyes become heavy, and for the first 5 minutes, I fight off the urge to fall asleep. When I manage to stay awake, things become a little distorted. Imagery is hazy and seems to tremble, but Hendrix sounds better than ever. I decided to reach for the controller, which was no problem, and skip to Purple Haze. I listened to the opening octaves, and this is where I zone out. I don't remember what happened, but when I finally woke up from the first trance, I was listening to the ending solo of Voodoo Child. I was wondering what had just happened. I thought the DVD went started over again, because Voodoo Child is the last song on the DVD, and I thought I was out for at least 2 hours. I look at the clock, and it's only about 10:50. I thought, wow, this stuff really does work. There is definitely a distortion in my time perception. And as Voodoo Child ends, I reach for the controller and turn off the DVD and TV. The next hour is kind of hazy. My whole body becomes numb. It wasn't a tingly numb that I get from weed. It was a comfortable numb. It was a feeling of heaviness, yet complete weightlessness. I just sat and looked at the blank TV, and the lighting in the room seemed really great, just one lamp on, and I tried to think of everything that was going shitty in my life. But when I would think about it, it seemed so simple and uncomplicated. All the negative feelings that I had seemed lifted. I was definitely experiencing what you would call euphoria. All of my thoughts were positive. I would close my eyes and subconscious thoughts would arise. Nothing to compare to LSD. These thoughts seemed to come from me, but at the same time they didn't. I suppose it was a bit psychedelic, but nothing heavy. I recall thoughts of whiteness and water. It was almost heaven-like, and these thoughts not only soothed my mind, but they also made me feel physically euphoric. By the time I came out of this, it was around 12:15, but the real euphoria wasn't going to set in for about another half hour or so. I remember getting up, which was really difficult. Ambien definitely does impair my motor skills. To this day, I don't think what I did when I got up was my original intention, but I remember what I did do. I got up and went into the kitchen, looked around, and then saw my bottle of Ambien, and I took another. Then I went into my room, and I got my Pink Floyd The Wall CD. I remember the whole house seemed to move in another direction than the one I went in. The hallway seemed to separate further and further. I felt like Moses, and I laughed at the thought. I finally got to my DVD player, and this is when I have real trouble with depth perception and begin to have open-eyed hallucinations. I attempt to open my DVD, but the load eject button raises out and sinks in, and every time I go to press the button, I don't. It finally stops raising and sinking, so I go to press it, but then it switches places with another button, and I keep on pressing all of these buttons until it finally settles in place. I get the CD in and sit on my couch, and the sensation of me wanting to touch and be touched comes over me. This is when I'm wishing my girlfriend was with me. I look to the phone. It seems a little further away than usual. I get up to go to it to call her, but I can only reach towards the phone. The DVD loads and I struggle for my controller. I finally get it, and I'm thinking comfortably numb. I throw it on repeat, and the whole process with the DVD buttons starts over on my controller. I get it to where I want it, and then the complete euphoria sets in. I remember having the same zoning out feeling when the music comes on, but I am still aware of the words. I close my eyes and I see no images, and I don't feel the couch. All of my senses are turned into the song, and in a strange way, I see the song, I feel the song, yet strangely the song sounds distant. My eyes are closed and everything is whitish once again, and I am in my own heaven. I can see it, but it is hard to explain what it looks like. And I am completely numb. At first I became a little frightened because I thought I may have overdosed. I tried to open my eyes to snap from it, but I just couldn't. Everything I was seeing was too beautiful, and I thought maybe I had died, and I was in my own heaven. The only senses I had left were image and sound, and wind and water, and comfortably numb was all I heard. There was no physical feeling at all. Everything was euphoric. There were no thoughts. Everything was complete and simplistic in my mind. Now that I look back, I must have been in a state where I was a quarter of the way aware and 3/4 of the way dreaming. The next knowledge of time and where I was in reality came at 9:30 the next morning. Oddly, there was no nausea or exhaustion. I felt refreshed and glowing. Comfortably Numb was still playing, and that day nothing could have went wrong. The feelings from last night left a sense of euphoria on me the whole day. The next time I do this, I will make sure that my girlfriend is with me. Not only for the sex, but because I want to share the same experience with her. Alright, everyone. That is the end of our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and share with us your Ambien experiences down in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the other videos and playlists on my channel, and I will see you in the next one, fam. Deuces.